There's a supernatural wind that moves between the stone ramparts of old San Juan and the rocky shores of a deserted island. A breeze that carries more than salt and sea spray. Locals say if you stand at Castillo San Felipe del Morro just before midnight, you may hear the footsteps of a man pacing the walls, or see him standing on the walls, his eyes locked on the sea. Across the island on Caja de Muertos, Coffin Island, you might hear the soft weeping of a woman. This is the story of José Joaquim Almeida, a sailor, a warrior, a pirate by some accounts, and a man whose heart was broken not by battle, but by love. Though he died by firing squad in San Juan, and she was buried far to the south, their spirits and their longing never left Puerto Rico. They say he haunts the fortress. She haunts the island. And they are still waiting, each for the other. He was born around 1777 on the volcanic islands of the Azores, far out in the Atlantic, a Portuguese possession. Raised among sailors, storms, and salt air, he grew up with the sea in his blood. In his teens, he crossed the Atlantic and settled in Baltimore, Maryland, a city of merchants, shipbuilders, smugglers, and opportunity. He became a seaman and a businessman, respected, rooted, but beneath the surface, something pulled him toward deeper waters. When the War of 1812 broke out between the United States and Britain, he saw more than patriotism. He saw opportunity. The U.S. couldn't match the Royal Navy ship for ship. So instead, it turned to men like him, sailors who would do the dirty work for profit. And with that, he became a privateer, a pirate with paperwork. Armed with a letter of marque from the U.S. government, he outfitted sleek schooners, hired ruthless crews, and set out to hunt British shipping. Not for king, not for country, but for gold and glory. From patriot to pirate. With a letter of marque from the U.S. government in hand, he armed a ship and began hunting British vessels. And he was brilliant at it. His ships, first the Caroline, then the Kemp, sank, boarded, and looted over 35 enemy vessels. He disrupted supply lines, captured convoys, even defeated heavily guarded merchant fleets. At one point, in just 6 days, he captured 8 ships in the Gulf Stream without losing a man. One cargo alone, sugar, coffee, and rum, was worth over $300,000, an astonishing sum for the time. In Baltimore, he was a hero. In London, he was a menace. And in his own heart, he was only getting started. Flags, fire, and the shadow of the crown. When peace returned to North America, he didn't put down his sword. Instead, he offered it to the rising republics of South America, who were still fighting Spanish colonial rule. He served Argentina, Venezuela, Colombia, any cause that paid and promised glory. But there was a problem. The governments issuing his privateering commissions were often unrecognized. Their letters of marque, legally shaky at best. By now, he was crossing the line into true piracy. He raided Spanish ships across the Atlantic and Caribbean, seized correspondence, ransomed cities, and exchanged prisoners. He was becoming a ghost in the water, known by many names, flying many flags, and feared by nations that had once called him a hero. And somewhere in this haze of conflict and conquest, a new story began. During one of his Caribbean raids, possibly near Curacao, he fell in love. The woman, according to legend, was Basque, elegant, quiet, mysterious. She may have already been married. Some say he killed her husband. Others say fate took care of it. But she boarded his ship, became his bride, and sailed with him across the Antilles. Until one night, whether from battle, betrayal, or tragedy, she was gone, dead. He didn't bury her at sea. He embalmed her carefully and obsessively, placed her body in a glass and copper coffin, and carried her to a deserted island off the coast of Ponce. He found a cave. He sealed her inside, and every month he returned with flowers, with song, with silence. The island, shaped like a coffin when seen from the sea, came to be known as Caja de Muertos, Coffin Island. Geographers say it's just a coincidence, but sailors and locals, they whisper a different tale. The Ghost Captain's End. By 1829, the noose began to tighten. His ship, Pichincha, was taken by mutineers. He was delivered to Spanish authorities in Puerto Rico and imprisoned at El Morro Fortress in San Juan. Now in his 50s, he stood accused by multiple governments, Spain, Britain, Portugal, each eager to hang him for piracy, smuggling, and unlawful violence at sea. The trial was military. The verdict was death. On February 14, 1832, he was executed by firing squad just outside the walls where he had once watched the sea. Some say he asked to face the water. Some say he whispered her name. Today, the legends live on. At Castillo San Felipe del Morro, security guards and visitors have reported strange occurrences. Footsteps in empty corridors, a man in white pacing the walls, chilled air and distant voices near the execution yard. Across the water, on Caja de Muertos, local fishers still avoid the caves. Some say you can hear weeping from inside the rocks. Others say a woman in white sometimes appears on the shore, always staring north. Two ghosts, one bound to stone, one buried in salt, separated by sea, but still calling to one another. And so, next time you're in Puerto Rico, dining in Old San Juan, or riding a jet ski near Coffin Island, take a moment to listen. You may hear the long-lost lovers still searching for each other.